come through with the top 10 awesome my basic gears!
Adultery. No, not a politician. Medical malpractice. No, I could never, ever be House. Bribery. No, still not a politician. Petty theft? That one's probably not bad.
Oh, I love grave digging. It's my second favorite activity.
What? Huh? What's your first favorite?
What's your opinion on trains and their ability to get to their destination?
One of the things I've always wanted to get into is trading cards. You know, like actually trying to sit down and learn how to fight people with them. I'm a video game collector, and I feel like I want to try to get into more nerdy things other than just some random garbage on the DS. This one is worth $200, and I only paid $6. It's an ex-library copy. Pretty cool, huh? My options were either comic books, superhero movies, or trading cards. The comic book store in my hometown is permanently shut down. Modern Marvel movies are too crossover-y, and then there's colorful cardboard. It's really a mystery as to which one is the better option for me. I grew up collecting Pokemon cards, and I have a lot of fond memories of getting them as gifts from family members and begging to get them for Christmas or whenever I'd see the fake ones at the local fair. So can I have that?
No.
Okay, Sam, can I have that?
You know, you drive a hard bargain, but no.
One of my favorite times was when my mom bought me a giant deck of rare cards for Christmas, and one of them was a misprint of this, a Delta species fire type Mew. I got this around my 8th birthday in 2009, and it was one of, if not the coolest card that I've ever owned. I was then convinced by a family friend to trade it for a 2009 Championship Mewtwo. I regret a lot of decisions, but this is the one that hurts the most. If I could afford to get a Delta Fire Mew again, I would, but the card market is so unbelievably screwed up that it's not financially reasonable, even if I were to show it off in this video, which would count as a tax write-off. My Pokemon card collection used to be fucking massive. I can't find any pictures of the hoard that I used to have back in the day, but I remember one binder that I had was worth thousands of dollars, and I had a lot of binders and a lot of boxes of miscellaneous cards. Here's some images from back in the day to prove how cool I used to be. Pretty snazzy, huh? Sadly, I don't own any of these anymore, if it wasn't obvious by the lack of footage of me having them. Back in 2021, I couldn't find a job courtesy of living in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, and as a result, I had to sell a lot of my stuff. Almost all of my video games, collectibles, and of course, my cards. I got a fair bit of cash that helped me stay housed, but I'm still distraught over losing the stuff that meant so much to me. And with how the Pokemon card market is nowadays, respectfully, I cannot get back into it like I once was. Fun thing, this game store most certainly still has cards I offloaded into their stock from back in 2021. But that's just collecting and owning. I've never actually played a card game, and to be fair, I don't think I want to. I know just a second ago I said I want to, but I don't know if it's for me. I've fallen out of love with Pokemon over the past few years. The modern stuff really doesn't tickle my dick like the older stuff does, and that's whatever. Newer Pokemon is for other people to enjoy, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if I don't care for modern Pokemon as games, and I'm not as financially irresponsible as I thought I was to get the cards, what else is there? All right, let's go over some things. If I want to get into a card game, what am I going to get into? Yu-Gi-Oh? No, I've never met a single person who plays Yu-Gi-Oh who actually likes the game. I've tried to get into the anime, but for some reason it starts without anything from season 0, and that really confuses me, and I think I hate it. Why don't they show him almost killing people? That's funny.
He's good. He knows every aspect of this game. But my grandpa put all his gaming knowledge, his whole heart, into assembling this deck. I have to believe that it holds some secret strategy. This card is useless.
Magic? No, I'm not that big of a loser. Cool person to be getting into that. Those alongside Pokemon are the big three people tend to talk about. But I know that a lot of anime have card games. I have this 4Kids dub of One Piece on DVD, and it has a random promo card in it. That's pretty fun. However, I want this video to be out on time, and at this moment, it's definitely not going to be. Happy Halloween, everybody. The last thing I have time for is currently nearing 1,200 episodes. Some of you are watching this when it probably has a lot more than that. Hi from the past. How's that Civil War going? I know that there's a Dragon Ball card game, or maybe more than one, but I'm also not literate with this show either. And before any of you freaks in the audience suggest Digimon based off the title of the video, I have a newsflash for you. While the original run of cards is long dead, they revived it in 2020, and it's going pretty strongly. What else is there for a loser like me to get invested in with moderate amounts of cash? Disney Lorcana? No. Star Wars Unlimited? No. Card Fight Vanguard? Duel Monsters? Alpha Clash? No, no, and no. How about this Kickstarter card game that I found at a game convention? Maybe, but no. Do you know why none of these feel right to me? Is it maybe because I love things that are old, dead, and far from being relevant? How did you know that about me? Could you tell by the look in my eyes? Aren't you clever? You really know how to make a girl feel special. Hi, I'm Medley Nosurname. Welcome to this wonderful date that we're on. And just kidding, I'm actually going to go to a graveyard to commit crimes and do some old-fashioned grave digging, just like Mom used to make.
Are you sure this is safe? It's a graveyard at night. If horror movies have taught me anything, this is a bad idea.
I wouldn't be any worried about it. The Shaquille O'Neal's indoor trampoline park and graveyard. I feel like we're gonna be fine.
What are these guys doing?
I think that's the valet. You should probably give him the keys, that way we can get going and start digging.
Are we the valet?
Idiot, we're fucking zombies.
So this is Shaquille O'Neal's indoor trampoline park and graveyard, huh?
Yeah. Where are the trampolines? I think they keep those for the employees in the back. Stingy bastards. Magi-Nation duel. Alright, first victim. In October of the year 2000, Philip Taffel of the company Interactive Imagination, or 2i, designed the card game Magi-Nation Duel with the help of many artists who all had one thing in common: anime-looking art style. It kinda helps it resemble one of the average monster fighting video or card games like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh!, which definitely would have gotten us some extra attention since at this point, both of those were getting pretty popular here in the States, especially Pokemon. Greg Richardson Von Oy and Josh Little both worked to make the game what it is, being a middle ground between the two big card games of the time. Pokemon was simple and easy to understand, so it was a quick pickup, but it would also take a lot of skill to truly master. It was also adorable. Aww. Magic the Gathering, however, was far more mature and detailed in its drawings, having more serious themes and storylines. It was also much more complicated, having a lot more moving parts and systems that aren't exactly the easiest thing to understand if you're a child, especially one who was just coming from Pokemon, where you evolve your lizard into a bigger lizard. Ooh. Magi-Nation aimed to be something for the children and teens who were looking for something that was a little bit more challenging than Pokemon, but weren't quite ready for the obscene knowledge and brain capacity to understand what the hell you're supposed to do in Magic the Gathering. For example, look at this paragraph about Obulet. What the shit is this? They reprinted it and look, it does the same thing, but now you can understand it. Or this guy, like, it's basically saying you draw one card, but it's a full-ass paragraph. It was made for fucking lunatics who need a degree in English and patience too thick for the average human to comprehend. Also, Mistopheles scares me. Take him off the screen, please! Just like with any other card game, the first set of cards, released in October of 2000, are considered the first edition, and the reprint, unlimited versions, were released in February of 2001. Later on, they released an expansion called Awakenings in May of 2001. In November of 2001, we got A Dream's End. In April of 2002, we got Nightmare's Dawn. And in November of 2002, we got Voice of the Storms. These collectively had 927 unique cards amongst them. Holy shit! And we're not even talking about the promo cards, deck cards, and 4 unreleased expansions. What? Here are some cards that I got from some packs of the Unlimited set. I'm honestly a big fan of some of these.
Wow.
I found starter decks for all of the expansions, though the Dreams End one was sent courtesy of Sharik from Anarchist Armory. Big shout out to him for the help on this whole section. It was a pleasure to learn how this game actually works from someone who really knows what they're talking about. Now to talk about how this game works. The first difference compared to your typical trading card game is that more than just 2 people can play at any given time. Up to 4 can play at once. They roll a die, and the turn order goes clockwise from whomever the highest roller designates as the first to go. Everyone gets 3 face-down Magi cards, one turned up being the one that you start with. To put it in a way that makes sense, imagine if to play the Pokemon card game, you had to have a card for the trainer who summons the Pokemon, essentially like a U card. I'm the card. It's a pretty neat mechanic. The other two unflipped Magi go face down to your side. The top left of your Magi card tells you the energy of your Magi, so you'll place tokens equal to that number on them. Then look at your Magi starting card, pull those from your deck, show them to your opponent, and then draw cards from the top of the deck to ensure that you have 5 total. Each turn can be split into 6 steps where the players take turns performing the steps before moving on to the next. Number 1 is Energize. Your Magi card tells you how many energy tokens you get to add at the beginning of each turn. Number 2, relics, powers, and spells. These can be done in any order you like. If you use a power, the energy cost displayed on the card comes out of your creature or your Magi/relic, depending on where it's coming from. Relics are special buffs that are usually free of energy consumption. And finally, spells. You pull the energy cost out of your Magi, and unless told otherwise, you discard them. 3, attack. Skip this on your first turn, but by the second, you will have creatures out. Each have a thing that they can do, some being offensive and others defensive. Just play it by what the card says and finish all of your creatures' actions, each acting once per turn. The action will cost the creature's energy. That combined with the creatures themselves being attacked means that they may not last long on the field. If the opponent is out of creatures, you can attack their Magi directly. If they lose all of their energy from the attacks, bam, they're dead. Dead as hell. When your Magi has no more creatures and lost all of its energy, it's out of commission and is placed face up on the bottom of the pile, and another one is put into play. Once all 3 Magi are face up, you are kaputs. After doing your attacks is when everyone plays more creatures. Creatures cost energy from your Magi, so while you may want to play a lot of them, you also don't want to stretch your Magi too thin. You may get to energizing it 5 back, but spending 10 is a dangerous play if you're not careful. The energy it costs to play that creature is now its energy, straight from your Magi, which it then uses to attack the next turn, and then will probably die also. Number 5, relics, powers, and spells can all be played again. Some of your new creatures can now activate their powers, or relics and spells can be played or used. It's basically the same as the previous relic, power, and spell step. Number 6, draw 2 cards. If all of your cards have been discarded, shuffle and replay the cards. Rinse and repeat all those 6 steps until you are left with 1 victor. There's a very strong likelihood I missed something or messed something up, and I hope that the gameplay that my friends and I were able to get help visualize it better than my words. I'll link to the sites that I used to learn about the rules outside of the rule books that I read. I had a lot of my friends work with me to understand this game to the best of our abilities. Some of these losers also like other trading card games, so their help and understanding was greatly appreciated. By the way, Magi-Nation is absolutely fun as fuck. I'm such a sucker for its art and how it feels so of its time. And once I played it enough times, I feel like I was getting pretty good with it. Before I can tell you why they failed, I need to tell you that this video is sponsored by Raycons, the lightweight and long-lasting earbuds of your dreams.
Hey, wait a minute. Why are you putting that in the U? Disney starts with D.
So, when I think of the up, I don't think of Disney. I think of you.
Hey, what did I do?
You're probably wondering how I'm able to hear that conversation. Well, that's because I'm using the new Raycon open back earbuds. I've had this pair of Raycon every day since May of 2019, so about 5.5 years now, and they've run me some good times. I used to walk around my town for hours a day, and these were my entertainment, giving me endless hours of music to jam out to while enjoying the outdoors. They still work just fine, but thanks to Raycon's new essential open earbuds, I have something just a little bit newer. If you're unaware, open earbuds let you listen to your tunes while still being able to stay connected to your surroundings and those around you. This is my first time using something like this, and I'm hooked. Not only am I, but so are the earbuds, since this hook here can be positioned to fit snugly and comfortably however you need it.
Hey, knock it off, boys.
Okay, well then you could argue this.
You're probably wondering how I was able to hear that conversation.
No?
I'm glad you asked. It's all because of the Essential Open Earbuds by Raycon.
Using rechargeable earbuds might sound like it would be annoying, but with these, they can have literal days of charge. The earbuds holding 8 hours and the charging case having 36 extra. That combined with the lack of restraint of a cord sounds pretty nifty, don't you think? Wireless earbuds don't always compromise the sound quality. I've been using Raycons for years, long before I was ever even uploading YouTube videos. Here's proof, and I would hope that you would join me too, especially right now, as everything site-wide is up to 30% off during Raycon's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Go to raycon.com/MelodyNoSurnameOpen or click the link at the top of the description and save some money on these bad boys today. These deals won't last forever, so go check them out while you still can. And hey, if these don't satisfy you, they do have a 30-day guarantee on returns, so it's completely risk-free. Thank you again, Raycons, for sponsoring this video. I'm happy to say that I've been using your stuff for years, and now with these new open-eared ones, I've got more years to come.
Boo! I heard you coming from a mile away. It's actually because of these babies here. The Essential Open Earbuds by Raycon.
Alright. Well, this came in the mail for you today.
Oh, really?
Now back onto those card games. So, why did they stop making cards so early in their lifespan? Well, one of the things commonly quoted for this card game cut itself so short is because they stretched themselves too thin. The expansions were made between 2001 and 2002, and in that span, they released well over 1,000 unique cards. That's a lot of cards way too early, and there were plans to release more on the same schedule. Traitor's Reach was one of the unreleased sets that was in the works, planned for a release in May of 2003 when 2i decided to stop due to budget limitations. I wonder how those came along. They not only released way too many cards way too fast, but they also ventured into video games. I won't go too deep into it since that's not what this video is about, but it does come with a promo card. Here's $70 of my well-earned money, by the way. This game was released in March of 2001, when there would have been just the base 190 cards. It's a pretty nifty game, and it was received relatively well by critics for the time. I have a plan to play it on stream, but so far I've had a pretty good experience. In terms of other games, there was a second Game Boy Color game that was canceled, a Game Boy Advance version of the release game that was Japan exclusive, and a puzzle game that was originally made for the Game Boy Color but was instead put onto Japanese mobile phones. And there was also an MMORPG. Great. So they stopped the series because they prioritized speed and quantity over profits and had a really cool card game without too much going on before realizing that they weren't deep enough in the green to keep going. And then 5 years after the name Magi-Nation went relatively dormant, circa 2007, they released a fucking cartoon. With 2 seasons, by the way. It was conceptualized in 2003, right when the card game was stopping print, but the negotiations and agreements took until 2006 for the show to be confirmed and another year for it to come together and be aired. Throughout its run, it did not do all too well, but the ratings must have been high enough for that second season to be approved. However, the second season must have seen negative ratings or something because they never finished airing it. How did that happen? The final 12 episodes of season 2 were never played on television. The show was doing so poorly that those episodes were released online in 2010. It did not receive high ratings in any sense of the idea of high ratings. But despite this, merchandising was still going on. Like, for example, plans for a DS game were made, but it didn't come to fruition. But that didn't stop them from making a PC game! Magi-Nation is one hell of a unique card game that, sure, was ripping off of Pokemon, but was meant to meet a middle demographic of people growing out of Pokemon but growing into more complicated card games. It reached 3rd place in the best-selling TCGs in its peak. I'd compare it to the TurboGrafx. 3rd place is respectable, but it wasn't enough to keep it alive forever. It literally is kind of just like this graph here. For a game as nice as it is, they were a tad bit too far ahead of themselves and it led to their demise. After Magi-Nation was done, the rest of the team went on to do some pretty interesting stuff. Notably, Matt Holmberg and Rich Werner from the art team went on to help create Plants vs. Zombies. Anyways, it turns out that Magi-Nation isn't dead. I had this video idea courtesy of seeing Magi-Nation referenced in a copy of Nintendo Power that I have lying around. I found out that while it's technically dead, it won't be for long. In February of 2024, after I had this video idea, by the way, 2i teamed up with Anarchist Armory, the people I mentioned before, on Kickstarter to print the aforementioned Traitor's Reach as well as some new cards. It reached the 10,000 goal and then some, having $266,000 as of the time of writing this, and let me go check what it's at right now. Oh, still 266,000. But my point still stands, it could have gone up. Many old artists from the original sets are back to make new art for this game too. So that's really cool to see. If you want to go back it, you still can on Kickstarter. I'll link it below.
Doesn't look very dead to me. Looks like it'll be resurrected in like 12 months.
You can tell just by eating one?
No, eating it just tells me it doesn't taste very good.
Well, how about this one over here? It's fresh and dead, and it's gonna stay dead forever. Wow. That is so dead.
Yeah, look at this thing. It's a nice, fresh, rotting corpse.
Wow. I wonder how they taste.
Probably delicious.
I imagine, yeah. I'm a big sucker for embalmment.
Ooh, embalmment.
Yeah, embalmment's delicious, right?
Embalmment, yeah.
Man. Ah! Minimum wage employees!
What are you doing here?
Oh, thank God it's just a zombie. For a second, I thought you were a public service worker. Or worse, the valet.
No. We're just here to kill you for trespassing on our property. I didn't die from Legionnaire's disease just to have my home invaded by a puppet and a white guy.
But I'm not white.
Hey, guys, look at that funny reference I made. That's a callback. You guys remember that funny callback from a video from 2 years ago? Make sure to like and subscribe if you remember that reference. Please. The year is 2020. The month, March. The world, in lockdown isolation. Me, I was busy couch surfing and trying to find a job. My life was pretty rough at this point and I was struggling to get by. I believe around this time I was moving to live with a friend in the middle of nowhere where I would then not find a job for multiple months. I was at a very bad part of my life, but where I should have been was on the Metazoo Kickstarter page backing the Cryptid Nation trading card game. Courtesy of everyone being stuck inside watching YouTube videos and trying to find things to pass their time, one of the things that hit big was looking at your old belongings, either to sell or to get back into them as a returning hobby. Among retro video games, comic books, and even your old VHS tapes, Pokemon cards are a big part of this new wave of exploring your childhood nostalgia, and content about Pokemon cards soared in popularity. But as with anything, there were obviously bad actors seeking to ruin the fun by making it a profitable endeavor rather than a hobby. The video game market was being illegally inflated by the likes of video game grading company Wada Games selling their own incorrectly graded games back to themselves through an auction house they were working in cahoots with to make the prices of retro games seem higher than they actually were through the sensationalization of sales through articles about the sales. Allegedly. There's no proof, dude. You can see the effects of this alleged illegal activity courtesy of price charting, by the way. Check any game worth more than $20 and you'll see a spike in what it was selling for between 2019 and 2022, and it probably remains around that 2022 price, sadly. Allegedly. This all ties to Pokemon cards because some of the same people who were involved in the video game market's sodomization were also messing with the trading card market, notably Pokemon. There were also other random douchebags doing it, and then boom, it was everywhere, and all your favorite content creators were buying hundreds if not thousands of dollars of Pokemon cards to open on stream or in videos, which only made the market worse and worse for the average collector and better for the greedy idiots who wanted to abuse the system. This is where Metazoo comes in. In March of 2020, Michael Waddell opened up the Metazoo Kickstarter looking for $10,000, only $10,000, to fund the printing of their cards. They nearly doubled that goal with just over $18,000, and from there, they only saw upwards growth. I can see why, to be honest. A lot of this game's creatures, or as they're known in game, creatures, come from various cultures' folklore, cryptids, and mythological beings. It's kind of like how a good portion of Yokai Watch's yokai, or yokai, come from Japanese folklore, but instead of it being from one country, it's the whole world. The art style that they were working with from the start was very reminiscent of the art of Ken Sugimori, the Pokemon guy. It's really charming, and the Kickstarter screams love and heart being put into this game, even going as far as to admit that they put extra effort to compete with the likes of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering. Once the Kickstarter was finished, they went into a pretty aggressive marketing campaign that luckily was successful, making many of the rarer cards sell for pretty big numbers on the secondary market and therefore growing the hype around the game, thus selling more packs and boxes. Being a new card game at the same time the Pokemon market shot up, they naturally benefited from that increase. It's reported that by the end of 2021, there were multiple Metazoo cards and the most submitted items to PSA, a good and respectable nerd memorabilia grading company that doesn't scam people and illegally inflate markets. Allegedly. Metazoo was initially released with the set Cryptid Nation in July of 2021. Their second set, Nightfall, released in October of the same year, with 3 more sets, Wilderness, UFO, and Seance, releasing in March, July, and October of 2022. The final set, Native, released in April of 2023. Just like with any trading card game, each set has its own themed decks. Here's all the ones from Wilderness, for example. Now, a fun thing to set some foreshadowing for you lovely ducks in the audience. Here is all of the Metazoo cards I acquired well over a year ago for this video. Can you guess how much I spent on all of this? Take a good guess, write it down on a piece of paper if you feel like it. Got it? Good. Now take it and shove it up your ass because I spent under $200 for all of this. This shit is cheap as fuck, dude. They had holiday sets for Halloween, Christmas, and April Fools. There were also collaboration sets, like for example, the People's Socially Acceptable Justin Wang, Steve Aoki. There was also a Gamer Subs collab called Bigfoot Juice. They had even teamed up with Tops. You know, the card guys. If it wasn't obvious, Metazoo was a pretty big deal, and I remember seeing it everywhere during the pandemic and long after we were able to leave our houses. I bought both of these at different Targets that I went to. I had a personal thing where if I saw Metazoo, I'd buy it without question, and I have kind of just had them on my wall for years, and some of you have probably noticed before. Alright, so we're getting all over the place here. How does this game work? Well, if you understand any of the big 3 card games, you probably know some of the basics of how this game works. It snags something from each of them while using its own unique mechanic as well. You're a caster, and you summon spells and monsters from your spellbook. One of my favorite things about this is that alongside booster boxes, they also had these more affordable, smaller boxes named spellbooks, like in the game. These are thematically neat and a simpler way to get into the game if you're unsure if you want to drop the full price of a booster box. As a caster, your goal is to take your enemy from 1000 to 0 health using your deck, known as a spellbook of cards known as pages. Your pages can be creatures, also known as beasties or cryptids. There's There's Artifact, which are buffs that remain on the field until they run out of life points, just like a creature, and the one-off single-use abilities like spells and potions. As a warning, just gonna jump in here and say that this game is a bit more complicated than it has any right to be. It'd be mostly fine if it weren't for the new vocab they use for words that would otherwise make sense. Well, that's an issue alongside how unbelievably deep this game goes with how many moving parts and small tidbits you're expected to remember. I understand that it's cute within the play of the game to use words like afterlife, bookmark, awaken, fatigue, but it's a lot harder to learn how to play when there's an overabundance of things to remember tacked onto this new set of words. To use one example of what I learned, note the fourth wall effect, which is this game's new mechanic. It takes real life elements and has them as causes for effects in game.
You are going down.
I'm ready.
And it's a good thing that Pittsburgh is known for its water alligators.
my super crocodiles. So it deals 20 here. And this deals 20 back.
No, it actually deals 40 because
all right, quick,
you're from a city that's known for sewer alligators.
All right, we're not going to fact check this, but who associates Pittsburgh with sewer alligators?
Everyone.
If I'm from a city that is associated with sewer crocodiles,
yeah, alligators.
It deals 20 extra damage.
And what does that mean? It means Pittsburgh is known for its sewer alligators, right? Back me up on this.
Some cards receive buffs if you are within 1 mile of a human-made tunnel. Sometimes you gain health if your enemy is wearing leather, or maybe if you see a cloud from where you're sitting. My favorite thing I found on a list of these is hairy arms and hairy legs, where having hairy legs grants you an extra aura page, which is basically the land card from Magic or energy card from Pokemon. This game must have been hell in competitive. I wrote like 5 minutes of shit here before I even got to trying to explain how the turns work, so instead of me explaining it, go watch this video and we can move on to talking about what the fuck happened. I know that there's a few Metazoo defenders out there, and I'm sorry to report that your game is too much for me to go in depth on a video like this. Magi-Nation took me 1 page of my script to explain. This would have taken about 3 or 4. Please understand that I'm tired of uploading videos that are too long. Look at how long this one already is. So what happened? Well, for starters, the game's too complicated. I just said that. You as the player are expected to know too many things for the bog standard round with a friend. I imagine having this much new shit to learn definitely turns some people off, especially those who would be coming from Pokemon. And I know for a fact that it fucked me up, but I still try to play some games, and even after having those experiences, I feel just about the same about it all. Alongside being too much of a mess to gather, it also suffered from the 3 horrors no man should ever face: Mark Zuckerberg, mismanagement, and Hello Kitty. So in June of 2021, Metazoo launched their base set to reasonably good reception. People liked it, hooray! Despite that, not too many people were aware of the game's existence. While working on this video, a bunch of my friends who sat in as I wrote the script hadn't even heard of Metazoo, and some thought that it was as old as Magi-Nation. As people back in 2021 began to learn about Metazoo, something else showed up on the sidelines with a similar name. In October of that same year, 4 months after the base set was released, enter Mark Zuckerberg and his metaverse, a virtual world where you can experience the work of a man who has wasted billions on something he could have just played for free. While that was happening, the word meta kind of got co-opted by this new wave of tech bro douchebags who wanted to cash in on NFTs and whatever other new technologies were fresh enough to trick gullible people who were behind by a few weeks into investing in. Back in late October of 2021, there was an unhealthy surge of meta garbage all over the place, courtesy of greed. He's the most likely of the deadly sins to be the cause for NFTs. Oh, and lust too. The craziest part is that Mark Zuckerberg had no involvement in that use of the word meta. He was just trying to make Facebook Second Life. People already didn't like it when Mark used it, but now they definitely didn't like it when millions of people were pumping out lazy, poorly made art 100 times over, selling it for the equivalent price of a fucking village. I've talked to people who didn't know that Metazoo wasn't actually related to NFTs and cryptocurrency nonsense until I was the one to tell them. Well, they weren't related to that stuff for a bit. They actually did make NFTs, so people were rightfully put off by them. NFTs and cryptocurrencies scare a lot of the market off of your card game. Sure, you might attract new customers, but those people are the kind you don't want. They're the people I mentioned at the beginning of this section, the people buying into a thing solely for the money that they can make, nothing else. They're here to buy things for cheap and sell things for more than they're worth. Just one small problem though. Keep in mind, NFTs are digital assets. They are literally just hyperlinks to images. Think of this from the perspective of someone who wants quick cash. Do you want to buy an NES game or a super rare trading card, wait for it to arrive if it ever does, does, and then spend the time and money to have it graded at a number you think is too low and then try to sell it online, praying some late investing 20-something with a minimum wage job spends 3 months of his paychecks to buy it because he thinks it's worth more, leaving him in an insurmountable sum of debt? Or do you want to buy a hyperlink to a highly anticipated piece of shitty art that is realistically worthless and made by someone you've never heard of just to sell it for some made-up electronic currency that has no real-world utility? Honestly, it's a toss-up as to which one the lazy scam artists could see as worth more of their time. This combined with the quick shot that was NFTs falling off and having nothing but a bad reputation, and you've got a game that is now stained with a legacy of shit. Even now, where people actively avoid it because of their bad history. No one likes Metazoo, and about a year ago, that was pretty obvious. When I was making this video, you could buy booster boxes and spell books for dirt cheap from a guy who was seemingly liquidating a warehouse. I checked while editing, and they've gone up in price though. It would appear I invested low, and now I have to adjust my script, so that's really fun, I guess.
Oh God, I'm rich. Oh, thank God. Anyone want to buy some of this shit?
They were kind of doing the thing that Yokai Watch did, where they made so much merchandise without the IP being worth enough money to do so, anticipating being a big hit when in reality it was moderate at best, regardless of if people liked it or not. The difference here is that Yokai Watch was a huge hit in Japan, so they had reason to believe that the English market would like it just as much. Metazoo had people buying in, making their future Kickstarters reach into the millions of dollars, which could justify the prices and print amounts. But a lot of the sales were courtesy of the people using it as an investment, akin to what was going on and is still going on with Pokemon cards. These people were not buying to play the game, they were using it to make money, and the second that the money was no longer flowing, they were out of here. This all combined with fucked up pre-orders that would take as long as a limited run order to arrive, far too many collabs and way too many cards means that they were nearing the end. It could only go downhill from here, folks. So, what was the final nail in the coffin? Well, in 2023, they released one set in April. That's what I told you anyways, but they actually released a second set in November of that year. It was a bit odd to only release 2 sets that year, unlike the previous year where they had released 3, but this last one was special. While the game might have been potentially bleeding money, they got one special collab that they banked on getting some cash. Hello Kitty. This is the final core set in Metazoo, Cryptid Carnival. It is entirely a Hello Kitty collab featuring both Sanrio characters as well as chibi versions of Metazoo characters. This was the equivalent of E.T. being released on the 2600. The game was not profitable at this point and was seeing a huge decline in interest from both the card players who didn't like the meta stuff or NFTs and the NFT losers who were moving on to something else more scam adjacent. They had failed to play both sides of the field, and Hello Kitty was a collab that made no sense considering their demographic of, well, the demographic of someone, I imagine. I hope. The cards may have sold somewhat well, but it was over. Barely 2 months after Cryptid Carnival was launched, and a message was sent into their Discord from Michael Waddell saying that the company was filing for bankruptcy. At the time that I started working on this video, the prices were low, and now they're going a lot higher than I anticipated them being. But the one that stands out as being far too overpriced is Cryptid Carnival, as it was the one that tipped the scale and set a hammer straight into someone's brain, meaning that there was a little bit less stock of it. They had so many plans that had to be canceled. On their website, it said they wanted to make full arenas full of things for fourth wall breaking, cause and effect things in game, which would have been neat, I suppose. There were even plans for a Netflix animated series and a goddamn movie. They were really wanting to go all out with this, and what? What the wait. Huh? What? I'm sorry? Huh? What the? Huh? What? So after bankruptcy, Metazoo was bought out by GameCubator Labs, and they reprinted the original base set. That's fine. They updated the cards, gave them new backs, and even updated the rules. Not only did they reprint the original base set, they also made a new set. As of the time of working on this video, this is the newest one, Torrential Tides. Whoops. Let's open the packs and get nothing good. I like the art direction they're taking with these new cards. Maybe this time they won't end up being an investment scam. Allegedly.
Well, this one doesn't seem very dead. What the fuck is this? It's like there's fucking cards coming out soon. It's like there was cards a couple months ago.
Yeah, it seems like a reboot. Alright. Mel, there's zombies here and they want to fucking kill us.
Well, maybe they should make sure that the residents here are actually dead before renting out the grave space. These bodies are worthless.
They were dead when they got here. I don't really know what to do.
Doesn't matter. Just get the hell out of here before I call the police.
I'm okay.
Mel, May I remind you, I am not white like you think I am. If they call the cops, I think we should get out of here. We should stop digging.
Ooh, horses.
Oh, I love horses. Oh.
You alright?
Back when I was under the age of 10, that same friend I traded the Delta species Mewtwo was a huge person in my life. He was genuinely my best friend and I hung out with him a lot. We would trade cards and, well, we didn't really play them, but it was always Pokemon, of course, but that's besides the point. His mom, however, was more familiar with various other card games and had a lot of them. She had some of the Fantasia cards, some Magic the Gathering if I recall correctly, but the one I remember super well was Bella Sara, a trading card game with horses on the cards. Shout out to the MLP fans in my audience, but this isn't for you. When I say horses, I mean horses. On a side note, any of you who've ever been to a Dollar Tree back in the day, do you remember when they had these card packs on display and little dispensers? It was like little 3-card packs, but I know I'm not crazy. If you can find any images of what I mean, I'll put them on screen while editing. There was a time when I bought out 2 card displays and they just let me keep the boxes, so that was pretty cool. I also saw sports cards, Fantasia, and Bella Sara cards in these types of displays, which is why I brought this up. Bella Sara, the mystical horse trading card game, was created in 2007 by Gitte Older Brandegard, based on her time caring for disabled children while in Denmark. Its name comes from her daughter and her daughter's horse, who are named Sarah and Bella respectively. This is a real trading card game, by the way. I know that there's a lot of silly ones out there ranging in quality and interest. Remember that there actually is a My Little Pony trading card game, but that doesn't stop the realistic horses from being any less jarring. If you've been subscribed to my channel for a while, then you'll probably remember my video on monster catchers. While it's one that I wish I could redo, I can't and I'm stuck with it. In it, I talked about Fossil League, a game similar to Pokemon, but it used real-life dinosaurs and made models of them. That's what Bella Sara is, but in card form. It technically started in 2005 over in Scandinavia. Hello to any viewers from there. How's it going? It was then later brought to retailers in the States in 2007. The goal was to be a positive influence on young girls, giving them a card game with a sprinkle of stereotypes and a healthy portion of positive messaging. In short, they wanted to create a girly alternative to the likes of the big 3, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering, that would help empower younger girls to be more positive and express kindness. Fuck yeah, I love horses and good messaging. Now, I was able to show off Magi-Nation and Metazoo sets and full physical products that I could and did buy. The problem with Bella Sara is that unlike the other two, this game ran for 20 full sets. I know that it may seem that I'm irresponsible with my money with how much I spend on random shit to show off in videos, and to be fair, I am. But I don't think I can financially consider getting a physical box of each set, so we're just gonna rapid fire them all off with a release date on screen. First series, second series, Northern Lights, Ancient Lights, Mythology, Native Lights, Magical Friends, Baby Bella, Treasures, Royalty, Bella's Ball, Sunflowers, Moon Fairy, Star Lights, Spring Carnival, Summer Camp, Winter Festival, Best of Bella Sara, Magical Chibis, Herds from North of North, with a 21st set called Fowls remaining unreleased. In total, there are well over 2,000 unique cards. Christ. These were released over the course of 6 years, and Bella Sara grew to be a rather popular card game. So, how do you play the game? Do we set up our horses and make them beat the shit out of each other? My mare casts ball of fire onto yours, and its mane goes up in flames, causing you to lose 10 horse points. I then counter your attack with a mystic shield, followed by a fist of steel, to completely obliterate your stallion. I win. Pack up your stable, bitch. So, how do you play? Well, you don't. Each horse comes with a name and a positive message on it, and that's about it. It's a TCG centered around the collecting aspect of it. You know, the sea. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the other utility that these had. Anyone in my audience remember the TY or Thai Beanie Babies? I used to be obsessed with these, and when I learned about the 2.0 series, I was hooked. These came with codes that you would enter online, and that would let you use it as a virtual pet in an MMO where you could play games, interact with others, and take care of your plushie. I had a lot of these as a kid, and looking at the list of what was available gives me a little nostalgia. I had too many. I had both lefty and righty, so I can assume my political stance is a bit uncertain. Go ahead and add that to Wikitubia. I used to own a digital pet based off of the then president's dog. I had Obama's dog digitally. He was my dog. And guess what? He's mine again. I bought Obama's dog for $10 on eBay. I can't buy thousands of dollars in booster boxes, but I can spend a tenner on a Portuguese water dog. Oh, hey, he's Portuguese. Does Melbot have anything to say about that? Dog. Wow, wow. Great. So just like Beanie Babies and to a personally lesser extent, Webkins, each Bella Sara pack came with a code you would enter on their website to do the exact same thing. How novel. Let's go check it out and get some sick horse action going on. Flash died in 2020. It took many things with it. Nowadays, many Flash creations are no longer functional, a large portion of which being quoted as lost media, potentially never to be recovered, never to be experienced again. The creative endeavors of the early internet users are gone, and with it goes the inspiration they had and could have continued to pass onward to new generations of online artists. We lost video games, animations, art projects, and the ability to interact with funny horses online. Dark be the days where God prematurely brings his shining light to the pearly gates, leaving us without a lit path onward. As with any of these buy a toy and play with it online things, you could play with and take care of your horse. You'd get horseshoes for currency, and you could spend them on food and furniture and even use them to play some games. So we may not be able to take care of our digital horses, but there's still other things we can do. There's a Bella Sara board game. The issue is that I can't find any of them with every piece for an affordable price. Whoops. I just really want to get horsey with it. So what happened? In June of 2013, the company that was making Bella Sara, Concept Card, went out of business and declared bankruptcy. Get Older couldn't afford to keep it running on her own, so the foul set went unreleased and Bella Sara's reign over the horse trading card market was finally over. Stay gold, pony boy. Despite this, the site for activating cards was up and running just fine until April of 2020, but due to the death of Flash, it went down. If you go to their current website, it now advertises their mobile app where you can look at a new horse card daily. Awesome. This app also advertises the Bella Sara movie. I'm not going to get into it since this is a video about trading cards, not movies, but I'm just going to say you should watch this for yourself. It's an interesting trip, I must say.
Got you.
So, aside from movies, what other things did they expand into? When buying these packs for the video, I got a puzzle, some toys from the Chibi line of cards, that's pretty cool. As a fun note, the seller put a Bella Sara sticker on the package when shipping it. This rocks, dude. What else was there? Well, a DS game. The Bella Sara lineage of video games. There's 3 unique ones total on the DS, 3DS, and PC. The DS and PC ones are basically like the website where you just take care of a horse, but not just any horse, no. It's a unique horse that's exclusive to this game. You could talk to horses from the card game, go on adventures, and experience all sorts of exclusive content. Pretty neat. Both titles are the same, with the only real difference being the quality increase from the DS to the PC. The 3DS also had a game in 2012 with more or less the same. Then in 2013, there was another. Neither of these games came to the US, however, and I've already spent way too much money on this video, so instead, we're going to just accept that these are basic horse-carrying simulators. Here I have the DS game. You may be wondering why it's so fucked up and also from the PAL region, and that's because I wanted to show off the promo card that it came with, and no other listings had it, and there were also no sealed listings either, so womp womp, I guess. Bought this baby brand new straight from fucking Egypt. Was this worth the $42 after shipping to be able to show you this awesome horse card? In my professional horse opinion, yes. Oh, and you rat bastards who are about to joke and say, wait, you're a horse in the comments? No, I'm a deer. How many servant jokes do I have to make for you to understand that? I include it in like every video, dog. And no, before you type in the comments again, I'm not a dog either. It seems that despite this card game being completely defunct, receiving no new cards, Get Older is determined to keep her baby alive, and I admire it a lot. She expressed interest in bringing the card game to a new generation of young girls as they recently made school supplies. In 2017, 5 years later, they finally got a distributor for the unreleased Foul set, though only the promos. It's still really nice to see. In the end, Bella Sara was a pretty good thing. And also, it's the only one on this list so far that is still dead and hasn't been like resurrected by being bought out. So that's nice.
Look at this one. Isn't she so pretty?
Yeah, whatever. Can you just help me get them out of here or eat them or something?
Wait, before you kick us out, I need you to understand that I need money. I'm poor due to inconsistent continuity.
Oh, you poor dog.
No.
Fox.
No.
Cat.
No.
Bear.
No.
Doesn't feel so good, does it, Miss Nosurname?
If you need money that badly, just dig up this guy. His TCG is so expensive we can barely afford to keep him here.
You know, I kinda knew that this whole time, and only now am I realizing that it would have saved us a lot of effort.
In 2005 in the West, the explosive craze to cash in on anything anime adjacent for kids with Pokemon's monster popularity had mostly died down. But like any addict, companies could never stop chasing that dragon. From Yu-Gi-Oh! To fighting Foodons, companies were now looking to localize anything that could remotely mimic Pokemon and sawing it down to be safe for kids. Some series that are only related on the surface level got caught in the net, and lo and behold, Zatch Bell. Humans get paired with their weird, fucked up guy that they gotta keep alive. Close enough, right? While the story is far beyond that and does some interesting twists on tropes, it checks all the boxes Western corporations hope to create a new anime merchandising craze with. Which of course includes why we're here, delicious pocket-sized cardboard. The Zatch Bell card game was made by Bandai, who is still in the anime licensing business today, and are having quite the run in card games currently. While Bandai gets criticism today for releasing new card game after new card game, which, sure, valid, these are all still well-designed games meant to be played and fun at any level. At the time of 2005, however, the general business plan was licensing anything and everything into a card game to get it on shelves and worry about the game part second. Kids just want the shiny pictures. Who really cares if it's playable or not? One Piece, Gundam, Digimon, history rhymes. Teen Titans, Ben 10, Naruto, Zatch Bell, all just some examples of the stuff Bandai was pumping out quick and dirty at the time. So with that in mind and a quick glance at the game, you can tell the goal with the Zatch Bell card game is a much simpler pick up and play. The cards all have short, simple effects, and to play the game, you need this cute little spellbook mimicking the spellbook people command their Momotos with in the anime. Yes, this spellbook is the equivalent of your traditional deck in the card game. It's a wonderful little card game filled to the brim with heart that just barely falls short of greatness in the sea of cash-ins. As Zatch Bell would not be localized in Western countries until 2005, Japan had a head start in May 2003 with the first set and starter deck Akai Hon to Mamono no Ko, or the Red Book and the Demon Child. This set, along with Japan's second booster set, would be combined to make the West's first set in 2005 with no proper subtitle. Fans have taken to referring to it as the Premier Edition. The last set for Japan, the 16th set, Makai no O no Jesen Koen, or The Battle to Determine the King of Demon World Part 2, would release in August of 2006, and in the West, the fourth and final set, Dawn of the Ancients, would release sometime in the summer of 2006. In the West, the game also launched with two starter decks, a red and a black one for the series protagonist and rival respectively. The cards aim hard for simplicity, with the majority being a white background with art taking up a majority of the top of the card. The soft watercolor-esque art of a lot of the cards are very pleasant to look at. They're tinier, sized like Yu-Gi-Oh cards if you're more used to Pokemon cards, which relates to the spellbook mentioned earlier that your whole deck needs to go into. I absolutely love this little book. They're so cute, protect your cards, add incredible theming to the game, and are satisfying to flip through. The big hook of the Zatch Bell card game is the spellbook. In any normal card game, you will have a deck of 40 to 60 cards randomized through shuffling. In the Zatch Bell card game, you predetermine the layout of your deck before the game even begins by inserting cards into the pages of the spellbook, and you're free to browse any page of the spellbook during your turn. So unlike a traditional card game, you know exactly what card is coming up when. A spellbook or deck in Zatch Bell is 32 cards and must be fully filled out. No more, no less. The first page must be a Momoto card and the last page must be a spell card. You can have up to 4 copies of a card in your deck. To start the game, both players take the Momoto out from the first page of their spellbook and place them into their Momoto area face up. The game mat is made up of 2 rows. In the front is the Momoto area where you place your little pals that will do battle. To the left is the discard pile where cards go when they're defeated or used up, similar to the graveyard in other games. To the right is the MP area where you will keep track of magical points you earn to pay the cost of effects on cards. The starter decks include little cardboard chips, but you can just use dice. Underneath all that is the partner card area where you place the partners of Momotos, which will give you extra effects to use. MP is gained by turning pages in your spellbook. At the start of a typical turn, you can choose to turn the page in your book or stay on the current page. You have a maximum of 3 page turns a turn. Once you turn a page, it can't be turned back, so choose wisely. After the start phase, you can go into the battle phase, where a player can choose to apply effects of Momotos in play or event cards or partner cards in their spellbook to power up their Momoto. Then start the battle by playing a spell card. The final phase is the end phase, where you must turn 1 page. If you can't, you lose. The goal of the game is to burn through all the pages of your opponent's spellbook so they have no more pages to turn. If during the end phase a player can't turn a page, they lose. Damage of attacks is measured in pages you are forced to turn. With this system, you need to be prepared to adjust your strategy on the fly. Maybe your opponent made you flip past all your good spells or all your partner cards. As mentioned briefly, there's different card types. The event cards can be played if they're on your current page and range from effects from powering up your Momoto to getting you extra page turns or even a turn back. Spell cards mimic the spells in the anime and combined with your Momoto determine the power for battle and how much damage you'll do to the opponent's spellbook. In the anime, burning the book sends the Momoto back to their world. Thus, the damage in this game being to the book. Partner cards represent the humans paired up in the anime with the Mamotos and work like equip spells in Yu-Gi-Oh! A game continues and the sequence is described until someone runs out of pages to turn. There's some more intricacies, but these are the basics. Being tied to a property gives a jumpstart out the gate, which can be a huge boon leading to sales or a player base an original idea might never have reached. But it also sometimes puts the tie-in on a timer. Its popularity, or more importantly, a company's willingness to invest into it, is tied to the success and popularity of the tie-in property. Zatch Bell was a hit when it debuted on Western screens in 2005 on Cartoon Network. The series had 4 video games localized, manga volumes brought over which had millions of copies in circulation, toys, and a card game. While you can never sustain the peak, it's called peaking for a reason. The series would have probably gone on in a comfortable routine if not for one big issue. The Japanese mangaka profession is not an easy one. The popular series have new chapters come out weekly, such as the ones featured in the iconic Shonen Jump magazine. This means an author and usually only a couple assistants need to write the story, draw beautiful detailed art, fill in the ink, and take into account an editor's revision notes, all within 1 week. With very little breaks, this is a grueling schedule. Even reading back on a legendary mangaka like Akira Toriyama's reflections on his time working on Dragon Ball Weekly, you'd wonder how he survived. Zatch Bell's author, Makoto Raiku, worked with publisher Shogaku Kukan, which led to Zatch Bell getting published in Weekly Shonen Sunday, an unknown magazine in the West, but known in Japan for hosting Detective Conan. Raiku had a lot of disagreements with his publisher and was worked to the bone. When the series was wrapping up in December 2007, Shogaku Kukan was to return Raiku's original artwork for the manga, but 5 color art pieces were missing. This seemingly innocuous thing was the breaking point for Raiku, and he took them to court, submitting a lawsuit to the Tokyo District Court in 2008. Raiku felt like the entire industry treated mangaka as disposable robots and wanted to set a precedent for the value of mangaka and their artwork with the lawsuit. Raiku won the lawsuit, settling for 2.55 million yen, or about $26,000, and an apology for the lost artworks. To get an idea of how mangaka are treated, a part of his original lawsuit was for Shogaku Kukan to release a statement recognizing the artistic value of original manga and sketches. They refused. Here comes the big part for the purposes of our video today. As part of this outcome, the rights of the Zatch Bell IP went to Makoto Raiku, an incredible thing for any creator that basically next to 0 other mangaka could say. It happens, but extremely rare. However, as a part of this meant that Shogaku Kukan's other obligations for the series vanished as well. Viz Media was dubbing the anime in the West and translating the manga. Viz Media was a subsidiary of Shogaku Kukan. Zatch Bell stopped being dubbed at episode 110. It stopped being aired earlier on Cartoon Network around episode 77 due to unrelated reasons, but now was certainly not coming back. This essentially sent the series into hibernation for the rest of the coming decade. With the show not even airing on Cartoon Network anymore before all this, it was going to be difficult to keep interest in its card game. In Japan, however, Zatch Bell was gigantic. It had numbers rivaling Naruto in popularity, many video games we never got localized, and the card game had 1 billion more booster sets than the Western version, which ended at 4 booster sets over here. Although, it should at least be noted, the Japanese booster sets are much smaller than ours, and all the English sets were made up of at least 2 Japanese sets combined. The show can be popular and its card game irrelevant though. Luckily, it was not the case for Zatch Bell. The game had a very successful organized play circuit with documented prices for competing at official Bandai events and good turnouts. The game is honestly a bit of a mess by trying to balance around the book-style deck system, and a lot of competitive strats, at least in the West that I know of, boiled down to don't let your opponent play the game. But fans clearly took a liking to what was there and stuck with it until the game had to be discontinued in 2008 as announced by Bandai. The card game did so well in Japan that in 2005, a video game version was released for the Game Boy Advance. It included up to the 11th Japanese booster set and plays exactly like the physical game, just digitally now, allowing people that may not want to pour so much money into collecting cards to play the game too. We of course never got this in the West. There is a way to play with all of the Japanese cards ever released now in English though, thanks to the Zatch Bell Makai Reborn project. There's a game on Steam called Tabletop Simulator that people constantly mod to introduce real games and their own custom games. It has a workshop you can browse on the Steam store, which includes links to all of them to download. And that includes Zatch Bell the Card Battle Online. This was a labor of love done over 18 years minimum, created by Yorogi, Verimelon, Lioren, Andy VN, and Leandro, who are listed in the credits on the Steam workshop page. The cards have all been scanned into HD, translated, and it even includes a little spellbook so you can play it online. There is a Discord for matchmaking if you want to play other Zatch Bell fans. This is an incredible undertaking that we're lucky to have to be able to play this game still today. Check it out if you're curious after watching the video. Zatch Bell doesn't have a sad ending though. Since the mangaka has the full rights, he is currently publishing a sequel series simply named Zatch Bell 2 after a long hiatus. The new series is being distributed digitally through Bergden Board Corp. It started in March 2022. Since Raiku is fully in charge, new chapters are released monthly instead of weekly. I love a happy ending. Oh, but that card game though, yeah, it's dead. No, it's dead. All the legal yellow tape and whatnot, it's gone.
Pray we can see it again someday, but looks like we finally found a real dead card game's grave this time.
I don't know. I think I gotta eat one to make sure it really is dead. Is this doing it for you? Is that... Upload this clip to XV.
Okay, forget it. I'm just gonna call. Hey, is this the police? I'd like to report a deer puppet and a Latin American man. They've been trespassing at Shaquille O'Neal's graveyard and trampoline park.
I don't know. I don't think there's much we can do about that, sir. Please stop calling.
What if I told you neither one of them are white?
What seems to be the problem here?
Officer Copafeel, what are you dead for?
Impersonating a zombie.
Run!
Are you gonna go arrest them?
Nah.
Why not?
Impersonating a police officer.
We are not doing this horror movie trope bullshit right now.
Oh, he was the valet.